And we are back on the fourth floor channel production. I am here with you, along with my son, Jack's son. We're here today to talk about a very sad time in our nation's history. I had the, I guess you could call it, the privilege of my dad very big into history and also lived through it, but we're talking about the assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, November 22nd, 1963. I have a lot of formal, learning about what it was like to be there and everything. It's the one that everybody says that they know where they were when they found out. And, Walter Cronkite talking about it on the news, dying in Parkland Hospital, Lee Harvey Oswald. We're not so much going to do the conspiracy stuff here. I mean, some, obviously, but we're going to go on the, more or less, we're going to go on the Warren Commission's findings that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone and because of opposing ideology, just had no choice but to assassinate JFK, when there really are quite a few alternative scenarios that make quite a bit of sense. But my son certainly didn't live through it, and I didn't, so I have not really been able to impart the wisdom on him that my dad did, but I'm hoping to start. And usually the teacher learns more than the student, so I actually probably will learn something today. And without further ado, son, balls in your court.
What do you mean balls?
It's your turn
to
talk, and don't forget, this is where the sound goes in.
First of all, who assassinated JFK?
Okay, well, you may not have been listening to my introduction just now, but
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Well, there you go. That's at least, it's funny that that's the question that you asked first, because really we don't know.
I mean, thought that it was still a mystery.
Yeah, well, that's the way I look at it. I don't think we'll ever know. I mean, until some files get released that say something like, the Special Operations Group of one of our branches of the military joined forces with the mafia, and there's, signed statements from dozens of people all explaining exactly how it happened. Unless or until that happens, I don't think we're ever going to really know more than we do now, which is the mafia and certain parts of our own government, and obviously Russia, Cuba, all of the groups that were, allied with them, as well as a bunch of, Bobby Kennedy, his brother, was killed not, 5 years later when he was about to run for president. And a lot of people think actually both of them came from, when JFK was president, his brother was the Attorney General, which is the lawyer, the top lawyer in the country. And he basically chooses policy about everything, organized crime, a ton of stuff. And organized crime had been able to kind of go under the radar until about the 60s. They kind of paid people off and got along with politicians and whatnot, so they kind of just had free reign. I don't know if you've heard of Jimmy Hoffa or the Teamsters or any of that stuff yet, but you will. And that's great ideas for another episode right there. But Bobby Kennedy basically vowed to destroy the mafia and set about doing so. And, lots of arrests, lots of charges, lots of them didn't stick. But, over time, Bobby Kennedy's initiative to destroy the mafia is the reason the mafia is now not a force, 60 years later. So, basically, the Kennedys did destroy organized crime. And organized crime, as you may, from hearing what it's called, you may guess, they commit lots of crimes. So it would not be above or below them to kill people. And the president is just another person to, to people in that kind of
I'm assuming what that means
situation.
is that the mafia killed him?
I mean, a lot of the theories that fit the best, at least the mafia was involved. I mean,
Okay.
I certainly couldn't sit here and say one way or the other, but I mean, I have read a lot of things. You can watch JFK the movie by Oliver Stone, and it's got a lot of stuff in it that's not even true, and you can come away with a pretty confident feeling that it was 2 or 3 of the mafia, our military industrial complex, which includes lots of private companies that supply our military with hardware and stuff, millions and millions of dollars. In JFK, there's a really awesome scene where the guy that plays the prosecutor, basically, he's trying to figure out who killed JFK. He goes to Washington, meets with the guy who was in the military, basically black operations guy. The kind of guy that would know all kinds of secret stuff that the government did and nobody was ever gonna know about. And he talks about Vietnam, and basically what they try to say is Kennedy was hesitant to get into Vietnam. Vietnam made our country billions of dollars. We also lost about 70,000 soldiers in Vietnam, and it really was a pointless war in the sense that we could never win it. Didn't really try to win it. We just basically sent tons of helicopters and aircraft and tanks and equipment and bullets and guns and all kinds of stuff like that all cost money. And when you're not at war, none of that stuff gets made, none of it gets bought. So the Vietnam War, literally, wartime is a booming economy when you're in war. And our economy needed a boost. As soon as Lyndon Johnson was sworn in, after JFK was shot, he was vice president. I won't say as soon as, but he pretty much got us into Vietnam kind of quickly. The Gulf of Tonkin incident I've mentioned to you before. When you're talking about, blame the man on Spain. The Gulf of Tonkin was a basically false flag operation where, nobody shot at us. We lied, said they did, and got into the Vietnam War. It lasted almost 10 years. It was the longest, bloodiest, most pointless war in American history until possibly the one that we're in now.
Which one are we in now?
Afghanistan. That we're trying to get out of, but it's been 20 years running.
Right now?
Ever since 9/11, yeah. We attacked the people that we thought attacked us back in 2000. I guess
so
2002.
it's a war that's been going on for 20 years.
Almost 20 years, yeah. Not 3 presidents. Yeah, 3 presidents now. Bush, Obama, and Biden.